And the news is breaking. We now have brand new transcripts and the closed-door interviews and depositions that Democrats and a few Republicans held with witnesses in the Democrats' impeachment inquiry. And so, much like yesterday, this is part deux now, it's released online, and so we're all taking to our devices and trying to catch up quickly. We have excerpts first from the joint interview with Kurt Volker, former United States Special Representative for Ukraine, negotiations conducted on October 3rd. House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, House Committee on Oversight and Reform, so on and so forth. What happened to that statement? Answer, it died. I mean, no one, once we started seeing a tempo of engagement with Ukraine, we had first the sense that Rudy Giuliani was not going to be convinced that it meant anything. Thank you very much. So this feels out of context. I want to first go to you, Judy, because we're just reading it as it's happening.
Right. I think I don't expect to hear anything that is inconsistent with what we've already heard, and that is everything that we've heard supports the testimony or the statement of the whistleblower. And Kurt Volker is a very important figure in this, and I think that his naming of Giuliani as being effectively the shadow foreign minister, the shadow Secretary of State of the United States will probably be.
This is torn from pages 226 to 227. So there are several hundred again, just like what we said. Not everybody would agree with that assessment, though. Some say that it really bolsters the president. Dan?
Well, I think it does bolster the president politically to some extent. Look, they are leaking this stuff out in dribs and drabs like this.
And when you say they, you mean Democrats?
The Democrats.
Okay.
And we're not talking about a run-of-the-mill oversight investigation, say, of the State Department. We're talking about the impeachment of the President of the United States, a grave act. And for the idea that the Democrats are going to continue to go forth with an impeachment process that is simply leaking material out like this, having it spun by the press because they leak out the worst pieces of those conversations and depositions, I think for a lot of people sitting out there, it bolsters the president's view that it's not a legitimate process.
All right, pages 226 to 227, after learning that Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney, intended to pursue allegations raised by Prosecutor General Lutsenko, Ambassador Volker warned Giuliani that Lutsenko was not credible. He said in his deposition, "So I had learned through the media that he was going to go to Ukraine and he was intending to pursue these allegations that Lutsenko has made, and he was going to investigate these things. And I reached out to him to brief him. A couple of key points. Lutsenko is not credible. Don't listen to what he's saying." You told Rudy Giuliani that Lutsenko is not credible? Yes, I did. Judy?
Once again, you have Volker trying to walk this very fine line between what he knows is his responsibility to the United States and what he knows Giuliani wants from him, which is, and the president presumably, an investigation of the president's Democratic rival. It's very clear to me.
I want to step in there because I don't hear the president's name in this. And you know me, I'm very basic.
Yes, exactly.
So when you say you're assuming or presumably Giuliani is acting on behalf of the president within this regard, that's not what the deposition on pages, far into this.
That's not.
We need to read the whole thing, and
exactly.
we will.
But that's not what this witness says. That's what other witnesses have said.
Dan?
Well, we know that the president did have this phone conversation with President Zelensky of Ukraine. I mean, that's
we know that because the president released the call record.
That's right. But how closely the president is tied to all of these events is an open
and
question.
And doesn't that matter if you're
here.
talking, as you said, such a dire circumstances impeaching the president of the United States?
Exactly. It's a worthy political issue. People want to vote for or against Trump on this next year. That is fine with me. But impeachment, we're talking about an entirely different scale.
I think it's a crime.
I'm going to ask. I know you do, and we'll get back to that in a moment.